Hey y'all, it's Jodi here, and you're listening to my flippin' podcast.
Y'all, you just gotta embrace the suck.
I'm in my 30s. I have 3 kids,
All born in different decades.
selling houses, flipping houses, renting houses, raising kids, random farm animals.
I can't deal.
Hey y'all, it is Jodi Terrell, and you're tuned in to my flipping podcast. And today I have with me a very special guest. His name is Cade Collins. Cade actually works with me with J&G Real Estate Solutions. We're gonna kind of dive in on everything that he's got going on. This guy's absolutely incredible, and he's killing it. So we definitely want to share some secrets, I think, some trade secrets. We're all about sharing the love. But before we get going, I really want to take a minute to give a shout out to J&G Real Estate Solutions. That is our real estate company, and it is the hard work and dedication of all of the ladies and gentlemen at J&G that allows us to do this podcast and to share our message with you and everyone else. So if you're looking to buy or sell, or if you have a house that maybe you want to get a cash offer on, be sure to give us a call. We do everything. We help sellers, we help buyers. We also have a pretty robust property management division. So give us a call at 256-467-6400, or you can find us online, jngrealestate.com. All right, so now that that's out of the way, before we dive into today's guest, I wanted to take a quick minute, and Cade, this is something that, feel free to chime in. It's been a crazy year for everybody. The real estate market, it has been insane. Absolutely insane. And so I just wanted to kind of go over some market statistics with you. Now, this is going to be specific to the county that we're in North Alabama, which is Etowah County. Quick side note, do you know what I actually looked up? I never thought about it, but you know what Etowah means?
What?
Large trees in Cherokee. So anyway, I would have thought it meant like river, water, but anyway, apparently we had large trees. So in Etowah County, so right now, I've got these stats pulled up. Currently, in the county, we only have 275 houses on the market, which is crazy. I mean, I'm looking at this graph from 3 years ago, and in January of 2017, we had 624. So now we have less than 300. And if you go to just a year ago, which would be, I got to find it on here, last November and into December, we had roughly 390, and now we have 275. So that's just crazy, and that's kind of a good segue into Cade's story, because people say all the time they can't find deals, they can't find deals. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can find deals, because this guy is finding deals pretty much every day. He's sending us so many things that we're at a point to where we're having to make some hard decisions on what we agree to take and whatnot. So the deals are out there. You just have to be persistent, tenacious, have that grit that we talk about to get through it. I'm telling you, the life in property management is it's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's a reality show all in of itself. Have I ever told you about my first 2 or 3 months with the apartments? Guys, this is crazy. So I think I had probably, I picked up a client that had 2 pretty large apartment complexes, and within my first few months of managing these apartments, we had bed bugs, a sewer backup, and 2 dead bodies. I'm not kidding y'all.
Is that the one on?
Dude, you can't be calling out these places.
Oh.
Edit that. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Okay.
It really is. Kate, you're cracking me up. But we've turned everything around. I will say that the dead bodies, though, it wasn't homicide or anything like that. It was actually, I had a lot of older tenants in this one complex, still do, and they just passed away. I mean, it was really sad, but they were older and they died in their sleep, and it is what it is. But it kind of messes with you. You realize that that's a pretty common occurrence in the property management world. I think our old business partner I think he's on like his 7th or 8th body in his however long he's been doing it. I know. Oh my gosh, insane. So I don't know how we got off on that, but so back to Cade. I want to do a quick little intro. So Cade is 24. Just turned 24 years old. He has his real estate license. He is wholesaling, doing all kinds of things, and also house hacker. I want to add that to your resume. Cade impressed me from the first day that I met him, just on how incredibly well read you are. Your knowledge base is incredible. He's kind of shy. He doesn't like to talk as much as I do, but he definitely, he's just been killing it. I'm not joking when I say that almost every day he's sending me houses or addresses or something to go and drive by to look at. So we're making a pretty good team at this point. He's putting in the hard work of and let's just kind of dive into that. Let's talk about, what are you doing? How are you finding deals right now?
So basically, I use this service called redx.com, and I try to call at least 100 people a day.
Okay.
And it makes it pretty easy because they've got a triple line dialer, which dials like 3 people at once, and it connects you to the first person.
Yeah.
And then whenever they answer, you just introduce yourself and make sure you're not interrupting anything, and then you say, is there anything I can help you with regarding real estate? And then you just let them talk, and then it's just law of averages. After you call enough people, you're going to start having people open up to you and tell you that they're going to buy a house next week, or they're going to, need something down the road. So, but it really works because we live in a social media age, and most people are, they want to buy leads and they want to, go the roundabout way. So there's a big gap in the market for people that are willing to just go out there and just talk to people. Because all the people that I talk to, I'll ask them if they've ever been called before, and nobody's ever been called by an agent. So
that is incredible.
So you just gotta, but it takes a while. You've got to be consistent with it. Like, I didn't have anything on the horizon for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and it's pretty rough, calling. But if you get over that initial threshold, you're good to go. But it's really working out so far.
Well, that's awesome. And I think it's so huge to kind of really elaborate on that. The fact that you are having to commit to do something every single day without results. It's that whole 3 feet from the gold. Have you seen that little postcard? It's like, it shows this guy and he's mining and he's been digging this huge tunnel and he's given up, and what he doesn't realize is he's 3 feet from this huge vein of gold. And if he would have just stayed one more day, he would have hit it rich, but he gave up. And that's the thing. And back to my whole grit thing that I talk about: gratitude, responsibility, integrity, and tenacity. Tenacity is huge, and that is the where you get knocked down, you don't see those immediate results, but you're still plugging in and day out. And I remember when you started and you said, I know this is going to take time, and you finally just said,
I just stopped making excuses and just went all in, because I've got bills to pay, had roommates leave, so I've got to really get something going. And but sometimes it takes, that type of stuff to really get you in the right direction. And
a little kick in the butt.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really worked out so far.
So let's talk about the tools that you're using a little bit. So you said RedX. Is that RED?
REDX.com.
REDX.com, okay. And so is this like a list that you're purchasing, or is it
They supply data. It's a built-in CRM, and they have a automatic dialer. It's called Vortex. And I believe GeoLeads is what I use, and basically you can hover over any town in America, basically, and you can select the nearest, 100 leads, and it pulls from the county records.
Yeah.
And I have about a 20% connect rate, so which is really, really good.
That is great.
And most of the data, it's got the most accurate data you can find right now.
Okay.
And it's very it's a crucial piece of equipment, really. But you got to have your follow-up systems in place too. So I always like to, if people aren't ready to do business today, I get their email, plug it into a newsletter, and I'm sending them stuff every week until they tell me to quit or they have a deal. Yeah. So when you do that and you continually farm, as they say, that's how you get it going. But yeah, RedX, they have geo leads, pre-foreclosure data, for rent by owner data, where you can call vacant rental property, because that's a pain point for a lot of people. Yeah. And they're more apt to sell a lot of the time, so you can catch people that way. I believe geo leads like $59 a month. The dollar is like $99 a month, but it's worth it, because they did a study where agents that use $1 are, I think it said 80% more likely to make $80,000 a year than an agent who doesn't. Wow. Because it takes about 3 to 4 hours to hand dial just 25, 26 numbers. By the time you let it ring all the way through, you leave voicemails. With RedX, you can pre-record a voicemail, and if someone doesn't answer, you tap it, and it'll just automatically send a voicemail. You don't have to let it ring. You can just keep the ball rolling and just keep going.
So it's going to dial 3 numbers at a time. I'm really learning something here, guys. Like, I kind of knew what he was using, but we've never really sat down and gone deep into this. So it's dialing 3 numbers at a time. The first person who picks up,
it connects you to. Okay. And the other 2, if someone picks up at the same time, it'll just automatically drop a voicemail to the other people. And then they'll let you call them back, which voicemails are basically like virtual billboards, really. Yeah. And a lot of people, I'll probably connect with 20 people on an average day, and then I'll get about 20 calls from voicemails over the next few days. So I'm getting calls all the time from people calling me back. So you really... Yeah, it really works.
So does it work through, do you have to dial through your computer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then when you're talking to somebody, are you on your cell phone?
Yeah, you're on your cell phone. Okay. So basically you click, you pull up your leads, and then you click start, and then it'll call you from their office, like in Utah or something like that. You open up your phone, you click one number, you dial number 1, and then it plugs you in somehow. You click the phone icon, it just starts ringing, and you can plug in, you can upload your own music to listen to while it's ringing, so you don't have to hear the dial tone or whatever. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I know Cade got me totally fired up about cold calling. I know cold calling scares the crap out of people. I don't like it. It is something that I did. We kind of had to, and this is how crazy real estate has changed just in the last. I think I've been in 18 years, okay? Which that sounds crazy in and of itself. But so when I started selling real estate 18 years ago, MLS wasn't even online. We didn't really have, there was no Zillow, there was no Trulia, there was no, I don't even think we had Facebook. No, we didn't. It was like MySpace. I didn't even have one of those. So it's really insane how everything has changed, how you really have to stay on top of this stuff. And these incredible tools that are out there. But one reason why I wanted to have you on here is I get into analysis paralysis when I'm looking at all this stuff, because you get overwhelmed with, try this service, buy these lists, send these cards out, do direct mail. No, you need to do targeting on Facebook. And but really what is so incredible about what you're doing, and where I kind of had an aha moment the other day, and I told you this on the phone, was I get caught up. I want everything to be beautiful. I think that's the designer in me, where I want to make these beautiful postcards, and I want to send those out, and I want to send out flyers, and I want to have websites for each house, and I want to do videos and all this other stuff. And when it's great to have these great ideas and these visions of what things can be, but sometimes you just have to do the simple things that no one else will do, which a lot of times what's working for you, you just picking up the phone and calling people.
And plus, I mean, no matter how you cut it, even if you're buying leads or whatever, it all gets back to talking to somebody.
Right.
So either you're paying someone to talk to somebody, a big sum, like Zillow, people paying thousands a month to be able to get numbers to talk to people, or you can pay, I think it equates on RedX to like 3 or 4 cents a lead. It's actually the cheapest way to get leads.
Wow.
So that's available right now. And the guy who put me onto this, his name's Ricky Caruth. He's a agent. He was like the #1 real estate agent in Alabama for like 4 years.
Yeah.
And he's a full-time real estate coach for free. He's a free coach. He's wrote a few books. And I've literally, you were talking about analysis paralysis. That's how I was for a while. But then I just read his book and I just decided, like, you just got to go all in on one person's teaching and just trust that they're telling you the right thing.
Yeah.
And I've literally just followed his regiment to a T, and I'm starting to see what he said would happen if you do it. So
it's
really,
working.
yeah. So you really just gotta. I was just like fishing in too many places. You know what I mean? So
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
100% guilty of that.
And it's like that quote I was telling you about. They say done is better than good.
Yes.
That's really true, because like a lot of the times, like it took me about 4 or 5 months to really work up the courage to call. I was just like, I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
It was on my mind all the time, but then I finally just had a breaking point, and I was like worried about not sounding the right way or this or that. But that's how you get better, is by doing the calls.
Exactly.
You're not going to get better just sitting around thinking about it. You've got to make the calls and stumble and make people mad and get cussed out. But that's how you get through it, and that's how you get better at it.
Yeah. Actually, what I love too about you calling is that you have randomly called a lot of my friends and people that I know, just because I'm a lot older than you and been doing this for a long time. And people will say, do you have some guy named Cade? Or actually, they'll say some kid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't care.
But, do you have some kid named Cade working with you? And I'm like, yes, I do. Did he call you? And they're like, yes, he did. And I was like, I'm so proud. I'm so happy to hear that, because I know that you're doing what you set out to do, what you're focused, you're determined, and you're seeing big results. So I'm really excited about it. And what you said about what did you say? Done is
better than good.
Done is better than good. The thing that has been sticking with me lately is progress over perfection.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with this podcast and all of these things that I know I wanted to do. I mean, I have this, I have a passion for radio. A lot of people don't know I had a radio show a long time ago in Birmingham on a 101.1 The Source. And it was about real estate, and we talked about politics. I mean, everything under the sun, and I loved it. It was just, I mean, I got up the butt crack of dawn, drove to Birmingham, fought in traffic, but I loved it. I was super passionate about it. But it's those things that, again, when I wanted to do this, I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to have all the perfect equipment, the perfect sound, the perfect location, the perfect cover for my podcast. I wanted everything to a T. And at some point, you just have to say, it can't be perfect in the beginning.
I saw a quote one time that said, perfectionism is procrastination in disguise.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so then when we had this appointment to hear, we've actually have producer Shelby behind the camera, and I just gave her that important title. Producer and editor-in-chief. Yeah. So we had skipped a couple of weeks. We had the holidays that came up, and then we had this scheduled, and I was crazy busy this week. I mean, crazy. And I almost said, no, let's reschedule. And I thought, no, I'm not doing this. I am making this a priority. I know that that there are people out there that can find value in our message and what we can give, and it's important. It is important to do it and to commit to something and get it done. So I'm hoping that you're inspiring me to do those things.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the podcast with you, is because, to be honest, I'm pretty nervous doing it, but it's kind of like with cold calling. I was nervous doing that, and the only way to get through that is to call. So it's like, if I'm ever going to be comfortable doing it, I might as well do one, So,
yeah.
But, yeah.
And you're always great. You know, we had these, before COVID, we had these investor meetups that were, I loved them. I hope that we can get back to doing that soon. But Cade was always hilarious. I mean, just because you Airbnb, listen, y'all. Okay. So how old were you when you bought your duplex?
22.
22. Okay. He's 22. He decides that he's going to buy a duplex downtown. It's old, historic, 2-story, kind of like Italianate, colonial, beautiful, beautiful building. And it's big. You've got, there was one side that was already
rented out.
Already rented.
Bought it.
Okay, let's tell this story because I think this is pretty cool about what you've done to kind
Like how I found the place and bought it?
Yeah, let's tell the whole thing.
So I just had my license for a little bit, and I was showing rentals and stuff like that just to, I didn't have any clients or didn't know about cold call or anything. So I got a call to go show this rental, and I pulled up. I never noticed this place before. I had these big privet hedges on both sides that were grown up. You couldn't even see it. And I showed it to the people and called my broker and told them that, they were going to drop off a deposit and everything, whatever. And I remember I walked in there and I told him, I said, I want to own a place like that one day. And he said, well, it's for sale. But I didn't think I could, qualify or anything. Yeah. So ended up getting qualified and was able to get it. And I inherited some tenants and was able to, the money that the tenants brought in was enough to pay the mortgage. So
and that was just on one side.
Yeah, just on one side. So that was allowing me to live on my side and just pay for utilities. But then I realized, it's a very 2,600 square foot unit, which is too big for me. So I rented out to 2 friends. Yeah. To further, pay for my utilities and stuff. Yeah. And so it worked out really good. And but I found it was an off market deal. And if you're not out there, on the field, you can't score. So yeah, that's kind of how I found it. And plus another thing too, I learned is instead of counting yourself out, I didn't think at all I could, get qualified or be able to pull it off. And, you got to always just check and let someone else tell you can't, because when I went over there, it got approved and was able to get the property and get it going. So
that reminds me of one of the things that I tell people all the time, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, which is, if people ask me, how do I get started in real estate? What do I need to do? I always say, step 1, read that book. Absolutely. That is a life-changing book. I wish that I would have read it 15 years ago when my mom told me to. So if you don't take away anything but that little tidbit from this podcast, go to Amazon. You can get a copy for $7, I think. Rich Dad Poor Dad. And there is a line in that book where Robert Kiyosaki is talking about, and just to kind of give you some context here, Rich Dad Poor Dad was about Robert Kiyosaki was growing up, and he said that he had a rich dad and a poor dad, and his rich dad was his best friend's dad, who was basically self-taught. He didn't have a formal education, and he was just a serial entrepreneur. He just knew how to make money. He knew how to interact with people. He was just great at finding opportunities. And then his poor dad was his real dad, who was very well educated. He was a professor, and he kind of just had a totally different outlook on life, and it showed in their financials. But he said that Rich Dad always said, don't say I can't. Ask yourself, how can I? Because the moment that you say I can't do it, then your brain just shuts down. Your critical thinking, everything, it just says, okay, I can't do it. Stop. I'm not going to think about it. Move on. But the moment that you ask yourself, how can I? It changes everything. And there's been so many times in my life where I have said, no, wait a minute, how can I? How can we do this? And it's incredible what you can come up with. And it's that whole, I've always said that I'm a great problem solver, but I really think that one little trick kicked my problem solving skills into high gear.
You become what you think about. So if you're looking for problems, you're going to find a problem. And if you think about, if it's just like with sports or anything, like when I was wanting to get that duplex, I wasn't even considering not being able to get it, except for that first initial, thought, but then once I went there and took the step, you just got to believe that it's going to go through, and then it works out somehow. Everything, anything that I've ever tried to do or cold calling anybody I was trying to follow up with. You got to think about the result you want.
Right.
To track that result.
Yeah.
And it works.
And then, but the other thing I wanted to mention, that's kind of where we got,
the Airbnb.
The Airbnb.
Yeah.
So you've rented out one side of your one side of your duplex was completely rented out to just a tenant you didn't know really. Then you move in the other side, which was 3 bedrooms. You put 2 buddies in the other 2 rooms. They're paying rent, and that's basically, so now your mortgage is covered, your taxes and insurance, and your utilities. And then you have this bright idea to Airbnb your bedroom, which when he told me he was going to do this, I was like, Cade, it's not going to work. And then you were like, I've already got it booked. And I was like, what? People, but you have to turn people down.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Yeah, I was staying at, I always stay at Airbnbs if I ever travel anywhere.
Yeah.
And I stayed in just like a room somewhere. And I was like, if they can get this, I know for a fact I could get, some people to stay at my place. And I just figured out, like, Hampton Inn's charging like $114 or something. I can't remember what it was. So I just like lowballed it and put a room on there for like $50 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then put the dynamic pricing on. And it was just an experiment to see what would happen. And I had somebody from Arkansas book it, and they came down and rented it out, and they kind of proved the concept. And then a few other people stayed. And then I finally rented out that room to another roommate. But because it was more consistent, but it still works. And it was
so
pretty cool.
because that was where we were talking about, he was telling this story at our real estate meetup, and we were all dying laughing because when it booked, you were like scrambling trying to find a coffee pot.
I was trying to make it look like exactly like how like a Hampton Inn or something would look. Like I had a coffee. I went to my grandmother's and borrowed like a coffee maker, and I had like magazines of Gadsden and stuff like that. And I had I printed off this little like one of the Airbnbs I stayed at, they were like super hosts, and they had a whole like list of cool things you can do around the town.
Yeah.
So I was trying to like copy that, but then once I read it only had like 3 Mexican restaurants and like Nakalula Falls on it. It was like 4 things, but it was still like just like a space, I didn't realize when I was trying to fill it out that was all I was going to be able to put on there, but it got the job done. And I had Collinsville Trade Day on there too. I swear I did.
Listen, y'all, if you're not from here, you don't realize how hilarious this is. But oh my God. Oh gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Small town. Which we do. We have a brewery now. We have some other.
It's a lot better now. I mean, that was over a year and a half ago, but a lot's changed since then.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, if they've got a house they want to sell, or if they're looking to buy something, tell everyone how they can reach you.
You can text me at 256-399-7219 or email me at cadecollinsrealestate@gmail.com.
And that's Cade, Cade Collins Realestate at gmail.com. Or you can find him on our website, jngrealestate.com. Getting new headshots next week. All new logos, new design, new look, new year. It's going to be fantastic. I'm pumped up about 2021. Do you hear my enthusiasm?
Yeah.
I'm going to, if you believe it, it'll happen, right? Mindset, people. 2021 is going to be the best year ever. All right, so that's it. And thanks again for tuning in to my flipping podcast. We will see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.
See ya.